All right, welcome back to Chapter 9, Part 2. So let's finish up. Don't forget to take the notes that I asked you to. All right, we're left off with securing a mobile device. Now, to secure a mobile device, make sure that you always set a password. And if you have some biometric recognition, like your thumb or your face recognition, use that as well. And also set up a remote wipe if you can. All right. So here's what I want you to write down. These four um, techniques that you can secure your mobile device. Number one, device access control. Make sure that you have a screen lock, swipe lock, pin lock, pattern lock, fingerprint lock, or face lock, whatever. So write those down. The second thing that I want you to know that restrict failed login attempts. So if somebody's trying to keep login, shut down the account for a certain amount of time. I think Apple does that pretty well. Full device encryption, if you're capable of doing that, and also multi-factor authentication. All right, so maybe a password and face recognition at the same time, or something like that. All right, when it comes to software security, write down these as well. Number one, OS OS update patches all the time. Make sure you do that. Don't ignore that. Make sure you have an antivirus malware. Trust only download from trusted sources. Don't just do anything. Download from anywhere else. Okay? The app stores is probably the best place to go to and the only place to go to. Firewall. Make sure you do have a firewall set up. Android locator applications and remote wipe. And also, if you have an Apple, you do an iOS locator application and remote wipe as well. All right, mobile security in corporate environments. So what do we do? Employees or employee groups in an organization are assigned security profiles, which are a set of policies and procedures to restrict how a user can access, create, edit an organizational resources. Profile security requirements can be partially implemented by configuration requirement placed on the bring your own device and a corporate owned devices an employee uses, right? So, how do you know that you have malwares? Right? That's a good way to do it. So, write these down. Number one, if you have a power drain, slow data speed, high resource utilization, leak personal files or other data, strange text messages you're getting, and data transmission over the limit. Number two, drop phone calls or weak signal. That could indicate that you maybe downloaded some sort of a malware. Unintended Wi Fi or Bluetooth connection. Unauthorized account access. Usually that doesn't really happen as much. Unauthorized location tracking. Somebody's trying to find out where you are. Unauthorized use of camera or microphone. All right. So be aware of all of that. How do you remove a malware? Right. Also, you need to do that. Write that down. Number one, uninstall the offending application. Of course, that's doing that. Update the operating system. Perform a factory reset if you have to. Keep the operating system updates current. All right, that's important. And of course, make sure you let everybody else know that is using, update the users, educate them, make sure they know what's going on, what they can and cannot access, and so on. All right. The Internet of Things. What do we need to know about the Internet of Things? Um, there are devices that are connected to the internet for a specific purpose, such as smartphone or thermostat or anything like that. So at home, you could have your thermostat connected to the internet, cameras, or anything like that. All right. If you want to set a smart home, a smartphone, or a tablet, and a Wi-Fi home network can be connected to the internet. Smart home devices, for example, we have smart light bulbs, thermostats, security cameras, door locks, doorbells, refrigerators, television, and sound systems, all of that, right? Controller hub So you have a smart speaker that can access the web, turn on your Wi-Fi connections like the Alexa, Alexa, and on it, they can turn the Wi-Fi on and off. But for a completely automated smart home experience, you need a controller hub. A controller hub, also called a smart home hub, can control smart devices that use different manufacturers' apps. But everything has to be connected to that hub. All of these different apps, the thermostat, your lights, your cameras, and you can control all of them wirelessly too, or through Bluetooth. All right, so let's talk about troubleshooting techniques. Here's another smart form Google Assistant speaker that we talked about. What else do you need to know? Okay, this is setting up that smart hub. Here's your using your phone with the echo dots. Now we're getting to troubleshooting technique. All right, write down the following 9 steps when you are troubleshooting your mobile device. Number 1, restart or reboot the device. It could be a little glitch and it just a tweak, and rebooting it solves the problem. Update, repair, or restore the system. Number 2. Number 3, boot into an Android safe mode, just as if you booted your Windows into safe mode. Restore from the backup if you have to. Reset all the iOS settings if you have to. Restore from the backup, from Apple backup. Restore the device from iTunes if you have to. Reinstall the operating system and start all over with a factory reset. I mean, that's the worst case scenario. All right, now common problems and solutions. So what I did is, from here till the end of the chapter, they give you common problems and what the probable causes are. So here's what I put them all in one table. So please write this table down, and that would be it. So let me just go over some of these. So for example, if you have short battery life or your battery keeps draining out very quickly, maybe you have too many apps open, or you got a malware. Maybe you have the Wi-Fi. Too many eyes, right? Wi-Fi, the GPS. If you have all of these open, they suck a lot of, they drain a lot of battery. If you have inaccurate touch screen response, maybe the cover or that's on the screen is too thick, or your settings may be not set correctly, not configured right. The touch screen is non-responsive. Clean the screen. That could do it. Never touch the screen when your hands are wet. If you have no sound or distorted sound, excuse me, make sure that the volume up. That's pretty straightforward, I guess. You never know. Check to see if the Bluetooth is on. Sometimes if the Bluetooth stays on, you won't get anything. It just goes directly to the Bluetooth. If you have a dim display, well, increase the brightness. If you cannot broadcast the external monitor. So remember that Androids rely on something called Miracast and Apple relies on something called AirPlay. Make sure that both of them are on and double check your Wi-Fi. If your Bluetooth connectivity has issues, well, one of the first things you do is turn on and turn off your Bluetooth. See what happens. Same thing with Wi-Fi connectivity. If you have signal problem, make sure that that the router is up and running and you have internet connection. If you have a weak signal, maybe the firmware constantly having weak signal. Maybe you need an update. Or maybe there's an update and you didn't get the update, the latest and the greatest OS update. And that's why all of a sudden your phone is becoming slow. Or maybe sometimes, if you did an update and your system became slow, then you probably have to roll back. Your GPS is not functioning for some apps. All right, check the location service settings. You're unable to decrypt emails. All right, that's you're probably going to end up generating new public key and private key. You have a VPN set up. Your apps are not loading. Okay, if the battery is too hot, if the battery is too hot, contact the tech supports. If the apps are not loading, that means you had hot failing battery or too many apps are open at the same time. So if your battery is way too hot, it's overloading. It's not going to load any more batteries. Sometimes, by the way, if your screen is left down here on the bottom, if your screen is left on for a long time, it may be very hard to touch. So otherwise, the display is, otherwise, if it's way too hot, then you got some problems. You got to return them. The old Samsung, I think S7, if I'm not mistaken, or below that, like from S4 to S7, they had problems with the devices are way, way too hot. All right. So please write this down. And when you're all done, just upload that to as homework. All right. And then I'll see you on chapter 10.